The message came on a Tuesday. Captain Han Ta was eating lunch in the Space Force cafeteria when his wrist device buzzed. He looked down and froze. The message was marked with the highest level of urgency. Captain to Command Center. Now. Han left his half-eaten meal and ran. His heart beat fast as he made his way through the hallways of Korea's main space station. People moved out of his way, seeing the look on his face. When he reached the command center, General Kim was waiting. "Captain Han," the general said. "They're here." Han looked at the big screen. A strange ship hung in space near Earth's moon. It was huge, at least 10 times bigger than any human ship. Its shape reminded Han of an ancient sea monster with spikes and sharp edges. "Aliens?" Han asked, his voice quiet. "Yes, they call themselves the Drakari. They want to meet with Earth's leaders." Han stared at the screen. Humanity had wondered for years if they were alone in space. Now they had their answer. "Why me?" Han asked. "You're our best diplomat, Captain. And you don't panic." Han nodded slowly. He had trained for first contact, but nobody really thought it would happen. "The meeting will be on Lunar Base Alpha," General Kim said. "You leave in 2 hours. Choose your team carefully." Dr. Jun Soo was in his lab when Han called. "Aliens?" Jun said, his eyes wide. "Real aliens?" "Yes," Han replied. "And I need you with me. You're the best xenobiologist we have." Jun pulled at his messy hair. "I'm not ready. I need my research, my equipment." 2 hours, Jun. "Bring what you need, but be quick." Jun looked around his lab wildly. Then his eyes fell on a special container in the corner. "Han," he said slowly, "can I bring Climber?" Han frowned. "Your goat?" "To a first contact meeting with aliens." "Mountain goat," Jun corrected. "And yes, he's important to my research." Han wanted to argue, but there was no time. "Fine, just keep him out of trouble." The trip to the moon was tense. Han reviewed what little they knew about the Drakari. They had sent a message ahead. They were from a vast empire, had visited many worlds, and wanted to discuss Earth's place in the galaxy. It didn't sound friendly to Han. Their shuttle landed at Lunar Base Alpha. Jun struggled with Climber's container as they walked to the meeting room. The goat was calm, looking around with curious eyes. "This is crazy," Han muttered. "Trust me," Jun said. "There's more to Climber than meets the eye." The meeting room was large, with a round table in the center. One side had big windows looking out at the stars. Han's team took their places and waited. They didn't wait long. The door on the other side opened. Tall figures walked in. Han's breath caught in his throat. The Drakari were reptilian, with scales covering their bodies. They stood on 2 legs, with long tails behind them. Their faces were like nothing Han had seen before, a mix of lizard and something else, with sharp teeth and yellow eyes. The leader stepped forward. He wore a red cape and gold armor. His scales were darker than the others. "I am Lord Drazar of the Drakari Empire," he said, his voice surprisingly clear in Earth's language. "We have watched your world for some time." Han stood. "I am Captain Han Ta of Earth's United Space Force. We welcome you." Drazar's eyes moved over Han's team, then stopped on Climber's container. The goat stared back at the alien without fear. "You bring an animal to a diplomatic meeting?" Drazar asked, sounding amused. Han felt his face grow warm. "This is Dr. Jun Soo, our xenobiologist. The goat is part of his research." Drazar made a sound like laughter. "How primitive." He turned to his own people. "They are exactly as our scouts reported. This will be easier than we thought." Han felt a chill run down his spine. Something in Drazar's tone made one thing very clear. The Drakari had not come in peace. The room felt cold as Lord Drazar walked around the table. His claws clicked against the floor. The other Drakari stayed back, watching with yellow eyes. "Let us not waste time," Drazar said. "The Drakari Empire spans 53 star systems. We have conquered worlds far more advanced than yours. Han kept his face calm, but his hands tightened under the table. We haven't come to talk about conquest, Han said. We hope to discuss peaceful exchange of knowledge. Drezar's mouth opened in what might have been a smile. His teeth were sharp and white. There are two paths for your planet, he said. Become our vassal state, or face our war fleet. The human team looked at each other with worry. June placed a hand on Climber's container. That's not much of a choice, Han said. It is more than most get, Drezar replied. He clapped his hands, and one of his guards brought forward a metal box. Allow me to show you why resistance is unwise. The alien pressed a button on the box. A hologram appeared above the table. It showed a massive creature that looked like a dragon from old Earth stories. This is a war dragon, Drezar said with pride. Our greatest weapon. One dragon can destroy an entire city. We have thousands. The hologram showed the dragon breathing fire and acid. Its wings spread wide as it flew over burning buildings. And I, Drezar continued, have brought my personal war dragon with me. He pointed to the window. Outside, a ship was approaching the moon. It opened, and a real dragon flew out. Even from a distance, they could see how huge it was. It landed on the lunar surface, its claws digging into the gray dust. His name is Razorclaw, Drezar said. He has helped me conquer 12 worlds. Han tried to stay calm. Earth's weapons would be useless against such creatures, but he had to try something. Lord Drezar, Han began, war would hurt both sides. There must be. There is no discussion, Drezar cut him off. You have one Earth week to decide. Submit or be destroyed. The room went quiet. Then June, who had been silent until now, stepped forward. What about a trial by champion? He asked. Everyone turned to look at him. Drezar tilted his head. What do you mean, human? June swallowed hard but kept his voice steady. On Earth, many cultures had a tradition. Instead of whole armies fighting, each side would choose one champion. Their contest would decide the outcome. Han stared at his friend. What was June thinking? Drezar seemed interested. This could be amusing. You think one of your warriors could beat a Drakari soldier? Not just any warrior, June said. I propose a contest between your greatest weapon and ours. Drezar laughed, a harsh sound that hurt human ears. You want to pit your best weapon against my war dragon. What could you possibly have that would stand a chance? June looked at Climber's container. Him. The room went still. Then the Drakari burst into laughter. The small horned beast. Drezar asked between laughs. You joke, human. I'm serious, June said. His face was calm now. My goat against your dragon. Han grabbed June's arm. What are you doing? He whispered. That's suicide. June gave Han a look that said, trust me. Han had known June since they were children. He had never seen his friend so sure of anything. Drezar was still laughing. This is better than I hoped. Yes, human. I accept your trial by champion. He walked to the window and looked out at Razorclaw. 2 days from now, your goat and my dragon will meet in combat. When your animal is torn apart, you will accept your place as our servants. The Drakari turned to leave. At the door, Drezar looked back. By the way, he said, no one has ever defeated a war dragon. Not in 10,000 years. When the aliens were gone, Han turned to June. Have you lost your mind? He asked. You just sentenced Earth to defeat. June opened Climber's container. The goat stepped out, looking calm. No, June said, patting Climber's head. I just gave us our only chance. 2 years earlier, Dr. Jun Su stood in front of 5 stern-faced generals and scientists. They sat at a long table, looking at his presentation with doubt. Mountain goats, General Park asked. Your big idea for alien defense is mountain goats. June nodded. Yes, sir. Please let me explain. The room was deep underground in Korea's most secret lab. The walls were thick, and no signals could get in or out. Project Resilient Earth needs to focus on what makes Earth special, Jun said, not our weapons or technology. Those might be weak compared to aliens. Our strength is our life forms, how they adapt and survive. He showed pictures of mountain goats climbing impossible cliffs. These animals can live where almost nothing else can. They adapt to the harshest conditions. They're perfect for our work. Dr. Mina Lee, the head geneticist, spoke up. I agree with Dr. Su. Bears and wolves were my first choice too, but his research is solid. General Park sighed. Fine. You have 1 year of funding. Show us results, or we move on. 6 months later, Jun and Mina stood in their lab. They watched as a young goat jumped from platform to platform. Each jump was higher than a normal goat could manage. Test subject 54 is showing a 40% increase in muscle power, Mina said, making notes. Kwon Do, their computer expert, looked up from his screens. Brain activity is also higher than baseline. The neural net is working. Jun smiled as he watched the goat. It stopped jumping and looked right at him, as if it understood the conversation. They think we're wasting time, Jun said quietly. They want weapons and shields. But if aliens come, we can't match their technology. We need something they won't expect. A year and a half into the project, Jun called an emergency meeting. Mina and Kwon rushed to the lab. What's wrong? Mina asked. Jun pointed to the monitor. Climber escaped his pen. Climber was their 87th test subject and the most advanced. He had been with them for 4 months. How? Kwon asked. That lock needs a code. Exactly, Jun said. His face showed not worry, but excitement. Watch the video. The screen showed Climber studying the lock. The goat then pressed the buttons with his nose, entering the correct code. The door opened, and he walked out. He watched me open it yesterday, Jun said. Once. Mina's eyes went wide. That's impossible. His brain shouldn't be capable of that level of cognition. But it is, Jun said. The neural enhancements are working better than we thought. And that's not all. He showed them more video. Climber walking to the lab computer. The goat looking at pictures of plants on the screen, then pressing buttons with his nose to sort them into groups. Edible and non-edible. He's learning, Kwon whispered. Not just reacting, but actually learning. And there's more, Jun said. He rolled up his sleeve to show a small cut. I injured myself yesterday. Climber saw it and brought me the first aid kit. Mina sat down hard. Empathy. Problem solving. Memory. Intelligence. Jun finished. Maybe not human level, but far beyond what anyone would expect from a goat. Kwon looked worried. Should we tell the generals? Jun shook his head. Not yet. They might shut us down, or worse. Try to weaponize him. Let's keep developing the neural implants. I want to see how far Climber can go. Mina looked at the monitor. Climber was back in his pen, lying down as if nothing had happened. What if aliens never come? She asked. Then Climber will just be the world's smartest goat, Jun said. But if they do come? He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. On the screen, Climber raised his head and looked directly at the camera, as if he understood every word. You have lost your mind, Han shouted. They were in a small room at Lunar Base Alpha. Climber was eating some hay in the corner, looking calm. Keep your voice down, Jun said. The Drakari might have listening devices. Han paced back and forth. It doesn't matter. You just bet the future of Earth on a goat. Jun waited for his friend to calm down. Han, sit. I need to explain. Han sat, but his face was still red with anger. This better be good. Climber isn't a normal goat, Jun began. He's the result of 2 years of secret work. Project Resilient Earth. Han's eyes narrowed. The Alien Defense Project. I thought that was making new weapons. That's what most people think, Jim said. But our team took a different path. We improved Earth animals to survive in alien environments. June walked to Climber and ran a hand over the goat's back. Climber has bones 3 times stronger than normal. His muscles are denser. He can heal quickly. And his brain. What about his brain? Han asked. He's smart, Han. Really smart. And he has a neural implant that lets Mina and me communicate with him. Han looked at the goat with new eyes. Climber stared back, seeming to understand. So he's a super goat, Han said slowly. But can he beat a war dragon? June smiled. I think he can. On the other side of the moon base, Lord Drezar watched as his dragon ate. Rezor Claw tore into a large piece of meat, blood dripping from his jaws. A Drakari soldier approached and bowed. My lord, our spies report the humans are very upset. They think their captain's friend has doomed them. Drezar laughed. Of course they do. Only a fool would send a small grass-eater against a war dragon. Should we still prepare Razor Claw for battle? The soldier asked. Yes, Drezar said. The display will break their spirit completely. Then Earth will join our empire without further fight. He watched as Razor Claw finished eating and let out a roar that shook the walls. Release the combat drones. Let him warm up. Metal spheres flew into the room. They shot beams of light at the dragon. Razor Claw moved with surprising speed for his size. His tail smashed 2 drones. His claws cut through 3 more. Then he breathed a stream of green acid that melted the rest. It was over in seconds. Perfect, Drezar said. Simply perfect. Back on Earth, the world's leaders met in emergency session. On screens around the globe, people watched the news about aliens. General Kim spoke to the United Nations. Captain Han is doing his best, but we must prepare for the worst. The Drakari ships are more powerful than anything we have. Military forces around the world went on high alert. Missiles were readied. Fighter jets took to the skies. But everyone knew it would not be enough if the aliens attacked. At Lunar Base Alpha, a small ship arrived from Earth. Mina stepped out, carrying a metal case. She rushed to the room where June and Han waited with Climber. I brought the last version of the neural enhancer, she said, opening the case. Inside was a small device that looked like a collar. Will it work? Han asked. It should, Mina said. It will boost the connection between June and Climber. She put the collar on Climber. The goat stood still, as if he knew this was important. Quan is working on getting into the Drakari systems, Mina told them. He might find useful information about the war dragons. June nodded. Good. We need every advantage we can get. He turned to Han. There's something you should know. If we lose, if something happens to me, Climber has backup programming. No matter what, he will not let the Drakari take Earth. Han looked at his friend. What does that mean? It means, Jum said quietly, that one way or another, Climber will stop them, even if it costs him everything. In the corner, Climber raised his head. His eyes seemed to glow for a moment as the neural enhancer activated. The countdown to the contest had begun. Quan's fingers flew over the keyboard. He sat in a small room on Earth, surrounded by screens. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. Come on, he whispered. Give me something. For hours, he had been trying to break into the Drakari systems. It was the hardest challenge he had ever faced. The alien code was like nothing he had seen before. Then his screen flashed green. He was in. Yes, Quan pumped his fist in the air. He grabbed his phone and called Mina. I did it, he said when she answered. I'm in their system. What did you find? Mina asked. Her voice sounded tired. A lot, Quan said. The war dragons aren't just animals. They're made in labs, like Climber. But they have a weakness. What weakness? Their acid glands, Quan said. They're powerful but unstable. If damaged in the right way, they could backfire. Mina's voice grew excited. Can you send me all the data? Already done, Quan said. But there's something else. The Drakari have conquered many worlds, but none with life forms as varied as Earth. They've never faced a planet that adapts like ours. That's good news, Mina said. I'll tell Jun right away. In a small lab at the moon base, Mina looked through a microscope at a scale that had fallen from Razor Claw. The Drakari had allowed the humans to set up cameras to broadcast the coming fight, and one of the technicians had secretly collected the scale. Interesting, Mina said. Jun looked up from his work with Climber. What is it? The dragon's scales contain a metal we don't have on Earth, Mina said, but it reacts strongly to a simple acid we do have. If Climber could somehow use this. She began mixing chemicals in a small container. In another room, Han met with Lord Drizar to set the rules for the contest. The arena will be Crater Tycho, Drizar said, a fitting place for your pet to die. Han kept his face blank. There should be no outside help, just Climber and Razor Claw. Agreed, Drizar said with a smile, though it will make no difference. And when Climber wins, Han said, the Drakari will leave Earth alone. Drizar laughed. When Razor Claw wins, Earth becomes part of our empire. But yes, these are the terms. As Han turned to leave, Drizar spoke again. You know, Captain, you should thank your strange friend. If not for his challenge, we would have simply destroyed your planet from orbit. Han looked back. Why? Because we have seen many worlds, Captain, but none that choose a grass-eater as their champion. Drizar's eyes narrowed. It makes me curious. Jun sat cross-legged on the floor, the neural enhancer in his hands. Climber stood in front of him, very still. Are you ready? Jun asked. The goat nodded. It was a small movement, but clear. Jun placed his hand on Climber's head. The neural enhancer glowed soft blue. In Jun's mind, images appeared. Not words, but pictures. He saw what Climber was thinking. First, the dragon. Then, ways to move, places to strike. He's huge, Jun said, and he breathes acid. More images came. Climbing, jumping, waiting. Yes, Jun said. Tire him out. Use your size as an advantage. The next image surprised Jun. It was Climber standing over the fallen dragon. Not killing it, but winning by making it give up. You understand mercy, Jun said softly. That's what they don't expect. The door opened, and Mina came in. I have something, she said. She held up a small pouch. A mix of chemicals that react with the dragon's scales, if Climber can get it into the acid glands. Jun nodded. Show him. Mina knelt beside Climber. Here, she said, pointing to a spot on a dragon picture. The glands are here. Climber looked at the picture, then at Mina. He made a small sound. He understands, Jun said. He knows what to do. Han entered the room. His face was grim. It's time, he said. They're setting up the arena now. Jun stood and put his hand on Climber's back. Ready? He asked. The goat looked up at him with clear, intelligent eyes. In that moment, all three humans saw something they would never forget. Determination. Crater Tycho was one of the moon's largest craters. Its walls rose high, forming a natural arena 6 miles across. For today, it would be the place where Earth's fate was decided. On one side of the crater, the humans set up a small base. Han, Jun, and Mina stood watching as workers finished the last details. Special cameras floated in the air, ready to send pictures back to Earth. 3 billion people watching, Han said quietly. No pressure. Jun was checking Climber one last time. The goat wore only the neural enhancer collar. It looked small and plain next to the huge crater. Are you sure he'll be able to breathe? Mina asked. Yes, Jun said. We made his lungs stronger too. The thin air here won't bother him. Han looked at his watch. 1 hour left. From the other side of the crater came a loud roar. Razorclaw had arrived. Even from this distance, they could see how massive the war dragon was. Its scales shone like metal in the harsh sunlight. "He's bigger than I thought," Minna whispered. June nodded. "But that means he'll move slower in the low gravity." A small ship landed near their base. General Kim stepped out with 2 other officers. "Captain Han," the general said with a salute. "We came to watch in person." Han introduced them to June and Minna. The general looked at Climber with doubt in his eyes. "This is your champion?" he asked. "It's smaller than I expected." "Size isn't everything," June said. "Climber is ready." The general didn't look convinced. "The president wanted me to tell you that no matter what happens here, Earth is proud of your effort." What he didn't say was clear. They expected to lose. More ships arrived. Important people from Earth came to watch. On the Drakari side, more aliens gathered. They looked confident, some even laughing as they pointed at the human base. Lord Dresser approached with 2 guards. He wore shining armor now, with a long cape that dragged on the lunar dust. "Are you ready to see your champion fall?" he asked. Han stepped forward. "We're ready for a fair fight." Dresser looked at Climber. For a moment, something like confusion crossed his face. "The animal is calm," he said. "Most creatures panic just seeing a war dragon." "He's special," June said simply. Dresser studied June's face. "Perhaps you are not as simple as you appear, human." He turned and walked back to his side. The time had come. In the center of the crater, workers had placed a large metal plate. This was where the contest would begin. June led Climber to the starting point. He knelt down to look the goat in the eyes. "Remember the plan," he said softly. "Don't try to match strength. Use your speed and wait for openings." Climber made a small sound and nudged June's hand with his nose. "I'll see you when it's over," June said. Then he turned and walked back to the human base. On the other side, Dresser personally led Razorclaw to the starting point. The dragon was at least 20 times bigger than Climber. Its long neck bent down as it sniffed the lunar surface. Then it saw the goat and let out a roar that sent dust flying. Climber didn't move. He just stood there, watching the dragon. At the human base, Han grabbed June's arm. "It's not too late," he said desperately. "We can call this off. Find another way." June shook his head. "There is no other way. This is our best chance." A loud horn sounded. Lord Dresser's voice boomed across the crater. "Let the trial by champion begin." Razorclaw charged forward, his claws tearing up the lunar surface. He moved with shocking speed for something so large, closing the distance in seconds. Climber waited until the last possible moment. Then, just as the dragon's jaws were about to close around him, he jumped. Not away, but up. In the low lunar gravity, the jump carried him well over Razorclaw's head. The dragon's momentum carried it forward, confused. Climber landed lightly behind his much larger opponent. The contest had begun. Razorclaw spun around, confused. The small creature should have been crushed instantly. Instead, it stood a short distance away, completely calm. The dragon let out an angry roar. It charged again. This time, Climber ran straight toward the crater wall. The dragon followed, gaining speed. Just before hitting the wall, Climber jumped sideways. The dragon tried to turn, but slid in the loose lunar dust. It crashed into the wall with a loud thud. At the human base, people cheered. "That's it," Jones said. "Climber's using the terrain." The dragon shook itself and turned again. Now it was more careful. It breathed a stream of green acid that splashed across the ground where Climber had been standing. But the goat was already moving, running in a zigzag pattern that the much larger creature couldn't match. "Smart," Minna whispered. "He's making Razorclaw waste energy." On the Drakari side, Lord Dresser was no longer smiling. He watched with narrowed eyes as his war dragon failed to catch the nimble goat. "Impossible," he muttered. No prey animal moves like that. The dragon tried a new approach. It spread its wings and jumped, using them to glide in the low gravity. From above, it breathed more acid, creating a wide pool that Climber couldn't avoid. But Climber surprised everyone again. Instead of trying to go around the acid, he ran toward a pile of rocks. He jumped from rock to rock, climbing higher, until he was at the same height as the flying dragon. Then he leaped straight at Razorclaw. "No!" Han shouted. "What is he doing?" Everyone watched in shock as the small goat flew through the air toward the massive dragon. It seemed like suicide. Just before they collided, Climber twisted in the air. His hooves hit the dragon's wing, not to attack, but to push off. The goat bounced away safely while the dragon, thrown off balance, tumbled from the sky. Razorclaw crashed hard into the lunar surface. Dust flew up, hiding both animals for a moment. "I can't see," Han said. "Where's Climber?" When the dust settled, they saw Climber standing on a rock, unharmed. The dragon was picking itself up slowly, clearly hurt from the fall. Now Razorclaw was truly angry. It let out a roar so loud that the ground shook. It breathed acid in all directions, not aiming, just trying to hit anything. But Climber was too quick. He jumped from rock to rock, always one step ahead of the deadly acid, and with each move, he led the dragon closer to the steepest part of the crater wall. "He's tiring him out," Jun said with growing excitement. "Look at the dragon. It's breathing harder." It was true. The massive creature was slowing down. In the thin lunar atmosphere and low gravity, its size was becoming a problem. Then Climber did something unexpected. He stopped running. He turned to face the dragon. "What is he doing?" General Kim asked. "Is he giving up?" "No," Jun said. "He's changing tactics." Razorclaw charged one more time, thinking its prey had finally given up. But as the dragon's jaws opened wide, Climber lowered his head and revealed a surprise. His horns, which had seemed normal before, suddenly hardened and grew sharper. They gleamed like metal in the sunlight. "The genetic enhancement," Minna explained quickly. "His horns are reinforced with carbon nanotubes, stronger than steel." With perfect timing, Climber jumped up and struck. His horns hit precisely at the soft spot under the dragon's jaw, where the scales were thinnest. Razorclaw screamed in pain and reared back. For the first time, there was fear in its eyes. On the Drakari side, Lord Dresser stood up in shock. "This is not possible," he said. "That creature is not natural." Han smiled for the first time that day. "No," he said, even though Dresser couldn't hear him. "He's better than natural. He's humanity's answer to your war dragons." Climber and Razorclaw faced each other again, both breathing hard. But while the dragon looked confused and hurt, the goat's eyes were clear and focused. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, the humans dared to hope. Lord Dresser was no longer smiling. He spoke quickly to his guards, who rushed away to do his bidding. "He's planning something," Han said, watching through binoculars. June nodded. He didn't expect a real fight. On the battlefield, Razorclaw had changed tactics. Instead of chasing Climber, the dragon now stood its ground, turning slowly to keep the goat in sight. It had learned that charging wasn't working. "The dragon is smarter than we thought," Minna said. June touched the neural enhancer control on his wrist. "Climber understands. It's time for the next phase." Climber began to move in a circle around Razorclaw. The dragon watched, its long neck turning to follow. With each circle, Climber moved a little closer. "What is he doing?" Han asked. "He's getting too close. He needs to get to the acid glands," Minna reminded him. "Remember the chemical mix I gave him? It's in a special pouch on his collar." The dragon suddenly spat a stream of acid. Climber dodged, but some of the acid splashed his side. The goat stumbled for the first time. "He's hit," Han cried. June checked the neural link readings. "It's just a small burn." His enhanced skin protected him. But now Razorclaw saw its chance. The dragon charged forward, faster than before. Its massive jaws opened wide. This time, Climber couldn't move fast enough. The dragon's teeth closed around the goat's body and lifted him into the air. A cry went up from the human side. It looked like the end. No, Minna covered her eyes. But Jun was still calm. "Watch," he said. Razorclaw shook Climber violently, then threw him against the crater wall. The goat hit hard and fell to the ground. He didn't move. Lord Dresser stood up and raised his arms. "It is over," he called out. "Your champion has fallen." The Drakari began to cheer. Some of the humans lowered their heads in defeat. But Jun kept watching. "Wait," he said. On the battlefield, something was happening. Climber's body twitched. Then, slowly, the goat stood up. "Impossible," Lord Dresser shouted. Razorclaw seemed confused. It had never seen prey get up after such an attack. "The healing enhancements," Minna explained to the shocked General Kim. "His cells repair damage much faster than normal." Climber shook himself. Where the dragon's teeth had punctured his skin, the wounds were already closing. The burn from the acid was fading. "Now," Jun whispered, "go." As if hearing him, Climber suddenly ran straight toward the dragon. This was so unexpected that Razorclaw hesitated. That moment was all Climber needed. He jumped, not at the dragon's head or body, but at its chest. His hooves hit hard, and he bounced off immediately. "What was that?" Han asked. "The pouch," Minna said. He delivered the chemical mix. The pouch that had been on Climber's collar was gone. Now it was stuck to the dragon's chest, right over where one of the main acid glands was located. For a moment, nothing happened. Razorclaw roared and prepared to breathe acid again. Then the dragon's body convulsed. It made a strange choking sound. Smoke began to rise from its chest. "The chemicals are reacting with the acid in the gland," Minna explained. "It's creating an internal reaction." Razorclaw thrashed around in pain. It tried to breathe acid again, but instead, a puff of smoke came out. The gland was damaged. "It worked," Han said. "The dragon can't use its main weapon." But the fight wasn't over. Razorclaw was still much bigger and stronger than Climber, and now it was in pain and angry. The dragon charged again, not trying to bite this time but to crush. It slammed its massive body into the ground where Climber stood. This time, the goat couldn't dodge completely. The impact threw him into the air. He landed hard and lay still. Long seconds passed. Razorclaw moved back, ready to attack again if needed. Climber didn't move. "Get up," Jun whispered. "Please get up." Everyone watched, holding their breath. Then, once more, against all odds, Climber began to rise. Climber rose slowly to his feet. His body showed signs of damage, but his eyes were still clear and focused. The neural enhancer on his collar glowed blue. Razorclaw watched the small animal with what looked like confusion. No prey had ever lasted this long against a war dragon. Lord Dresser stood at the edge of the battlefield, his face dark with anger. "This contest is unfair," he shouted. "The animal is not natural." Han stepped forward. "Neither is your war dragon. You said champion against champion. There were no rules about what kind of champions." The Drakari leader couldn't argue with that. He turned back to watch the battle, his claws clenched tight. On the battlefield, Climber and Razorclaw faced each other again. The dragon was breathing hard. Without its acid weapon, it had to rely on teeth and claws. It was still dangerous, but now it was also afraid. "This is it," Jun said quietly. "The final phase." Through the neural link, he sent Climber a simple message. "Finish it." Climber began to move in a way no one had seen before. His movements were fluid, almost like a dance. He circled the dragon, coming closer with each turn. Razorclaw tried to follow, but it was getting tired. Its large body was not made for the moon's low gravity. It had used too much energy already. Suddenly, Climber jumped high into the air. The dragon tried to catch him with its claws, but missed. Climber landed on the dragon's back, between its wings. "What is he doing?" General Kim asked. "Watch," Minna said. Climber ran along the dragon's back, heading for its neck. Razor Claw tried to shake him off, but couldn't reach him. When Climber reached the base of the dragon's skull, he stopped. His hooves pressed down on a specific spot. "The neural cluster," June explained. "All Drakari life forms have a sensitive nerve center there." With precise strikes, Climber hit that spot 3 times. The impact wasn't hard, but it was exactly right. Razor Claw froze. Its whole body went stiff. Then, like a falling tree, the massive war dragon collapsed to the ground. Silence fell over the crater. No one moved. No one spoke. Climber jumped down from the dragon's neck. He walked around to face it. The dragon's eyes were still open, still aware, but it couldn't move. "He paralyzed it," Minna said in wonder. "He didn't kill it." Slowly, Climber turned away from the fallen dragon. He walked back toward the human base, his steps steady despite his injuries. It was over. Earth had won. Later, in the meeting room at Lunar Base Alpha, the mood was very different. Lord Drizar no longer looked proud. He sat at the table with 2 other Drakari, facing Han, June, and General Kim. "You have won fairly," Drizar admitted. "We will honor our agreement and leave Earth in peace." Han nodded. "Thank you." But Drizar wasn't finished. "However, I must know, what is that creature?" "No simple animal could defeat a war dragon." June smiled. "Climber is exactly what Earth needed. An example of our greatest strength. Not power, but adaptation." "Explain," Drizar said. "Humans don't win by being the strongest," June said. "We win by changing, by finding new ways to solve problems." Climber represents that. The Drakari leader thought about this. "In all our conquests, we have never met a species that thinks as you do." He looked at his fellow Drakari, then back at the humans. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "there is something we could learn from each other." General Kim raised an eyebrow. "Are you suggesting an alliance instead of conquest?" "I am," Drizar said. "Your world has shown wisdom and innovation that might benefit the Empire. And we have technology you could use." Han couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You want to be friends now?" "Not friends," Drizar corrected. "Partners. Allies. There are worse threats in the galaxy than the Drakari." The humans looked at each other. This was more than they had hoped for. "We would need to discuss this with all Earth nations," General Kim said. "Of course," Drizar agreed. "We have time now." As they talked about the future, Jum slipped away to the medical bay. Climber was there, resting on a soft bed. Mina was checking his vital signs. "How is he?" June asked. "Perfect," Minna said with a smile. "The healing is almost complete." June stroked Climber's head. The goat looked up at him with intelligent eyes. "You did it," June whispered. "You saved Earth." Climber made a soft sound and rested his head against June's hand. Outside the window, Earth shone blue and beautiful, safe for now. And perhaps, with their new allies, safe for a long time to come. All because of a goat who stood up to a dragon.